and welcome to the second season and 34th episode of Renaissance Weekly. So glad you could join us. I'm Michael Closey. Today on the show we have a segment on Afternoon Tea Week, Creamsicle Day, and Social Security Day. But first we got the weather report from our very own weatherman, Walter Velligore. Walter, let's go with the weather.
Thanks, Mike. This week's forecast is Monday, mostly sunny, high of 88, low of 64. Tuesday, partly cloudy, high of 86, low of 62. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, high of 76, low of 61. Thursday, mostly cloudy, high of 82, low of 64. Friday, mostly cloudy, high of 86, low of 68. Now back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Walter. You know, today is Creamsicle Day, and here is Rita with some information on that.
Thanks, Mike. I want to share today about Creamsicle Day, a soft flavor that kids the world over have discovered to stay the heat and give energy to them during the oppressive summer months. The first bite seems to overpower the taste buds, giving a hint that even more surprises await them within the frozen delight. This is a day of celebration, Creamsicle Day. Originally created by B. Frank Epperson in 1905, this industrious and inventive 11-year-old experimented with putting fruit juice around vanilla ice cream. The original Epsicle, which later became known as a popsicle, creamsicle, and even dreamsicle, were done with just the orange juice outside. However, now you can find them in a myriad of flavors, from orange to blueberry, raspberry, lime, grape, cherry, and even blueberry. This cold delight has been a staple of the summertime ice cream truck since they started moving around and served at various warm locations since they were spread around as a treat. People have been going around trying all sorts of creamsicles from different areas and locales. Apparently, the ones served on Long Island are less about the orange as they are the strong vanilla. When in Florida's Palm Beach, you get a small amount of vanilla flavor and a crazy amount of orange. Well, one would think just going out and getting a creamsicle would be the end of celebrating Creamsicle Day. Yet you wouldn't be farther from the truth. Even today, grocery stores and markets have them in large boxes, individually wrapped, or sometimes even in small packages for a couple of the creamsicles. I prefer for the whole family. Oh, perfect for the whole family. And yet, despite being so well known, there are those that have never had one. So you can always share it with those that have never encountered one before. Instead of just going to the store and buying the creamsicles, one could always make them at home, turn it into a family project, or even experiment with different flavors. Just mix together fruit juice and vanilla ice cream into a large bowl. Then add milk slowly and carefully while continuing to mix. Finally, pour this mixture into small paper cups and put them into your freezer. Once they are partially frozen, push in popsicle sticks or lollipop sticks into them and carefully replace them back inside the freezer. Once frozen solid, the best way to tell if it is frozen is to squeeze the cup a little. If it doesn't stay solid, it isn't frozen enough yet. Peel off the paper cups and enjoy your homemade creamsicle. Thank you, Mike. Back to you.
Thanks, Rita. Those are some interesting facts. Really tasty. Today is August 14th, and if you have a birthday today, you celebrate with the likes of Steve Martin, best known for his roles in The Jerk, L.A. Story, Three Amigos, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Father of the Bride, and Pink Panther, among many others, as well as his stand-up comedy. He turns 72. Danielle Steele, currently the best-selling author alive and fourth best-selling fiction author of all time, with over 800 million copies sold, she turns 70. Gary Larson, cartoonist known for his comic strip The Far Side, he turns 67. Rusty Wallace, former NASCAR Winston Cup champion, considered one of racing's most well-known and charismatic personalities, he turns 61. Magic Johnson, former LA Laker and current president of basketball operations for the Lakers, he turns 58. Sarah Brightman, who you might know better as Blind Mag in Repo the Genetic Opera, she turns 57. Susan Olsen, maybe best remembered as Cindy Brady on The Brady Bunch, she turns 56. Halle Berry, best known for movie roles in Catwoman, Die Another Day, and the X-Men movies as Storm, she turns 51. Mike Vrabel, former linebacker and current defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, he turns 42. Julius Jones, former running back for the Dallas Cowboys, Seattle Seahawks, and New Orleans Saints, he turns 36. Clay Buchholz, pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies and formerly for the Boston Red Sox, he turns 33. Tim Tebow, former quarterback for the Denver Broncos and current outfielder for the New York Mets, he turns 30 as well. Also, how weird. Went from football to baseball. James Buckley, best known for his role as Jay Cartwright on the British TV show The Inbetweeners, he turns 30. Dick Tiger, professional boxer who held the world middleweight and world light heavyweight championships, who died in 1971, would have been 88 today. And finally, Buddy Greco, jazz and pop singer and pianist who had a long career in the US and UK, who was good friends with the Rat Pack, who died earlier this year in January, would have been 91 today. Today is August 14th, and on this day in history, in 1183, Taira no Munemori and the Taira clan take the young emperor Antoku and the 3 sacred treasures and flee to western Japan to escape pursuit by the Minamoto clan. Traditionally, the Japanese date is the 25th day of the 7th month of the 2nd year of Jue, but for us in the United States, it's August 14th. So. In 1765, Massachusetts colonists challenged British rule by an elm, later to be known as the Liberty Tree. In 1846, Henry David Thoreau is jailed for refusing to pay taxes. In 1848, Oregon Territory is organized by the Act of Congress. In 1861, martial law is declared as St. Louis, Missouri, due to pro-secession sentiment which surged throughout Missouri after the Battle of Wilson Creek. In 1862, Abraham Lincoln receives the first group of African Americans to confer with the U.S. president. In 1885, Japan's first patent is issued to the inventor of a rust-proof paint. In 1888, an audio recording of English composer Arthur Sullivan's The Lost Chord, one of the first recordings of music ever made, is played during a press conference introducing Thomas Edison's phonograph in London, England. In 1893, France becomes the first country to introduce motor vehicle registration. In 1900, the Eight-Nation Alliance occupies Beijing, China, in a campaign to end the bloody Boxer Rebellion in China. In 1925, Mount Rushmore Monument is first proposed. 1933, loggers cause a forest fire in the Coast Range of Oregon, later known as the first forest fire of the Tillamook Burn. It is not fully extinguished until September 5th after destroying 240,000 acres. In 1935, Franklin D. Roosevelt signs the Social Security Act, creating a government pension system for the retired. In 1936, Rainey Bethia is hanged in Owensboro, Kentucky, in the last known public execution in the United States. Also in 1936, the first Olympic basketball game is held in Berlin. In 1937, the beginning of air-to-air combat of the Second Sino-Japanese War and World War II in general, where 6 Japanese bombers are shot down by Chinese fighters while raiding Chinese air bases. 1941, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill signed a joint declaration that later becomes known as the Atlantic Charter, stating their post-war aims. In 1945, Japan accepts the Allied terms of surrender in World War II, and the Emperor records the Imperial Rescript on surrender, August 15th in Japanese Standard Time. In 1965, the Beatles tape an appearance for The Ed Sullivan Show, as well as Sonny and Cher's I Got You Babe hits number 1. The following year, in 1966, the first U.S. lunar orbiter begins orbiting the moon. In 1967, UK Marine Broadcasting Offences Act declares participation in offshore pirate radio illegal. 1975, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the longest-running release in film history, opens in London. 1980, the Democratic Convention in New York City nominates Jimmy Carter and Walter Mondale. 1984, IBM releases PC DOS version 3.0. 1994, Space Telescope Hubble photographs Uranus with rings. 2003, a wide-scale power blackout affects the northeast United States and Canada. In 2015, the U.S. Embassy in Havana, Cuba reopens after 54 years of being closed when Cuba-United States relations were broken off. And finally, in 2016, Usain Bolt wins 100-meter Olympic gold at Rio, the first man to win this event 3 times. That was really interesting information. Here at the Renaissance Club, we do a lot of work. We also combine work with pleasure, which is where our social events come into play. Last week, we took a trip to JG's for go-karts and ice cream, played Texas Hold'em, had a pool tournament, and did karaoke, and played Pictionary. Yes, it's a busy week because it's Rec Month. Today is Social Security Day, and to tell you a little bit about that, here's Kathy with some information on that. Kathy?
It's Social Security Day. Wherever we are and whatever we do, we're a small part of a greater society, and there's no better indicator of our togetherness than the Social Security system, which is why we should celebrate Social Security Day. Tongue twister. Anyone can fall on hard times or have a period during which a little help doesn't go amiss, which is why these support systems exist. A good way to celebrate Social Security Day is to think about the more unfortunate members of society and do something for them. Cooking a big tray, baked pan, or a big stew and taking it to a soup kitchen is a good idea. Another good idea is to volunteer for a shift in that same kitchen. Send the kids out to mow the lawn of an elderly or infirm neighbor, or have a yard sale and donate the proceeds to a homeless charity. Have fun, but be generous as well. Now back to you.
Thanks, Kathy. Now here's Frank with Afternoon Tea Week.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Afternoon tea week. Sometimes the wait for dinner is far too long, and lunch passes too many hours ago, and the length of the day is starting to wear at you. When this happens, it's time to settle in with a warm cup of tea and some light sandwiches. Take some time to appreciate the day and bolster yourself for the rest of the evening. Afternoon Tea Week taps into the British tradition of afternoon tea to help bring a bit of elegance and pomp to an otherwise unremarkable time of day. Afternoon Tea Week was established to help secure a tradition that has graced British afternoons since the 1840s. In those days, dinner often wasn't served until 8 p.m. and lunch wasn't actually a thing. So what was a hungry person to do? Create a new mini meal in the middle of the day. Of course, traditionally this meal contains tiny finger sandwiches, scones with jam and clotted cream, and sweet dainties like cakes and pastries to help lift the spirits, bolster energy, and see you through the rest of the day. The simple afternoon meal grew into a social event, especially for those who spent their lives in the upper echelons of the day's society. This became even more prominent once Queen Victoria herself took part in the tradition. At that point, the concept of the tea reception was born. Lavish and fancy afternoons replaced what could host anywhere from a close collection of friends to a couple of hundreds of society's most elegant faces. As the name suggests, tea was a central part of the meal. A tradition started by Anna, 7th Duchess of Bedford. She often found herself feeling weary or worn down in the middle of the day. And a pot of tea with a snack just seemed to be the best way to take care of it. She soon invited friends to join her for walks on the field, and in a snowball that would become afternoon tea began. Celebrating Afternoon Tea Week is simple for the length of week that makes a pause for afternoon tea a part of their day. Warm tea, a few sweets, and a small repast will help you lift your spirits and drive you through the rest of your day. If you really want to go all out, you can organize a tea reception, and even go as far as to wear Victoria costumes to honor the history of this holiday. Even if you just have a cup of tea each day, remember Afternoon Tea Week, and take a few breaths to help calm and carry on. Now back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Frank. I did not know how important tea was. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Mike Closey. Thanks for joining us here once again at Renaissance Weekly. Remember, folks, life always offers you a second chance. It's called tomorrow.